I switch the tile?
No, you're fine. Would you want me to switch?
I want to switch my square and your square on my screen to the right, to the left,
To the
but
right, to
I
the left?
can't do that.
No,
Yeah.
only I can control it.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay, cool. No, you're fine. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to another great episode of Comedians in Bed. And guess what? I got another good one here for you. I was searching. I was looking to find somebody. I was like, I need somebody funny. And I was like, I'm going to just rest, take my time. And then I seen this clip of this young lady right here that was just killing it. And you know she was in her bag because she literally had a bag on her hip. And I was like, I ain't never seen nobody do that before. I was like, that's original. This woman's going places. I said, I have to have the funny on here. I'm bringing it to you today here at Comedians in Bed. Please give it up for our next guest, the hilarious Katrina M. Harris, everybody. Katrina, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Ty? What's up? What's up? What up, though?
What's going on with you, man?
You know how it is in the world of comedy. You just out here telling these jokes.
Yeah. Now, we were talking before we got started. You had told me that you're from the state up north. You're from the D-Town, from Detroit?
I am from Detroit, Michigan. Woo, woo,
Yeah,
woo.
yeah. My girlfriend's from Detroit. We went there this summer. That was her first time going back home since she was like 8 years old or something like that.
Oh, I'm sure she had lots to say about things changing. The city is always evolving,
Oh yeah, it's
up
definitely
and down.
yeah, it's definitely different. So right now you're out in LA?
I'm in LA. I've been living in LA for 6 years.
Okay. What made you make the move
Yeah.
out to LA?
That is a loaded question. Listen, I thought I was coming out here for three other people, my husband at the time and my two children. And I was coming out here just to support them. I was the best momager and wife I could be.
Mm-hmm. What was
Hmm
what was you momaging?
My children, they do
Oh,
like
okay.
acting, commercials, and
Yeah.
they just outgoing kids, and you're like, if you grow up somewhere that's not Detroit, maybe this would be like second nature to you. So I was thinking moving out here would be like a second language to them, but
Yeah.
they didn't really like it.
Oh, okay. So then you're out here doing your thing, flipped around on you. How did you come to that realization that hey, maybe this move was really set up for me?
So I was when I came out here, my full time job was a hairstylist, and I was teaching cut and color for a company called Paul Mitchell. And when you're writing these curriculums and you're doing these platform shows, you always got to have comic relief. And in trying to manage the kids, I felt like I needed something more steady, I guess. And so I was like, let me go to film school. Let me finish school and see what the degree can bring. Because the cost of living is much more out here. So I was like, if I finish college, maybe this will turn into something different. In film school, I found stand-up comedy. I was doing a report on Eddie Murphy. That's when I realized I got a dream job. Up until then, I had no dreams. I was like, I'll just be medium at everything.
So when you saw where you was doing your research on Eddie, what was it that spoke to you that said, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing too?
It wasn't until the assignment in class was pick any artist. You could pick a cake decorator, you could pick a muralist, you could pick somebody that paints on tow trucks. It didn't matter. Whatever you did, you had to talk about how the art inspired you, and then you had to recreate something based off that person's art in that report. So I was like, oh, this is easy. I'm just gonna get up here and do stand up because every time I get tipsy, instead of me freestyle rapping how a lot of guys do, I just get up in front of the kids or in front of whoever and do stand up thinking it's just a joke. Of
Yeah.
course, it was a joke, but it was not just a joke. This could be a career. So I went to a club. I knew a couple friends that were comics. And I was like, how do I get on stage? Because I got this report in school. I need to be able to get up here. And when I got up there, I was like, oh, this is bigger than this assignment.
Mm,
Just
mm.
fell in love. Like, I was like, this is what it feels like to have a dream. This is why people had that motivation and that I'll do anything for. It was such a rush. Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great that you found it that way. The funny thing about it that I see is that sometimes like when we just think we like just playing, being ourselves. We really are like being ourselves, and that's kind of like our first practice and introduction to like our actual dream.
Oh
You
yeah.
you know,
I
like
feel like everything in my life has prepared me for stand-up comedy. And that
yeah.
sounds crazy. I say that to people from my hometown and they're like, if you don't go out here and get a real job. But I'm like, no, from talking to people in the beauty industry, I have to go into Caucasian salons and teach them, looking like I do, teach them how to cut and color their hair and use these products, keep their attention. That's stand up 101. And then not have anxiety or be nervous. Like,
Mhm.
that's definitely, and then getting my material from being a mom and a wife and moving and regular stuff that just happened on the day to day.
Yeah,
Man, please.
yeah,
I feel like I was born to do this.
yeah. I felt like my practice came when I was in class talking. Like that was my that was my practice. People be asking me like, "What made you get into this?" I'll be like, "Man, because listen, I used to get in trouble for this. I might as well like get paid." You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That class clown go a long way. Like, teachers, do not hinder or destroy or crush somebody's flower just because they're the class clown. We just gonna repurpose that energy.
I feel like they need to like make a different type of school. They try to make you learn like one way, and it's like that way doesn't like work for everybody. I don't feel like I thrive educationally until I like started going to college. Really.
Yeah, the college level was definitely much more open minded. When I was teaching hairstylists, which is a different type of person. These are artists, and a lot of people that are hairstylists got kicked out of school. You feel me? So they really be like rebels. And they talked about multiple intelligences. So it was like not how smart you are, but how you are smart. And it just talked about everybody learns different. It was like
Mhm.
5 different ways people retain information. And it just helped us reach out to that person that is an artist at the core. So I feel you on that. They
Yeah,
really need to revamp schools and the test and all of that.
yeah, for sure. Now, how did you learn to do like comedy? Like when you were coming up, like what like techniques did you learn? Like how did you is it something you picked up naturally or somebody gave you tips? Like how did you learn to do comedy?
So like most things, you figure out that you got a natural gift. And
Mm,
then you feel that you got a passion and a drive to do it. Well, the format I was following was just, okay, be yourself. And I said, no, I need to figure out a format because this stuff that I have is funny. How do I make it funnier? Or what is the format? Then I said, okay, you do public speaking and you do platform work for this company. Maybe you could use that same lesson plan format for that. So I used that format just to like a public speaking format.
mhm.
That took me to the next level. Then I met a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. God rest his soul, Mr. David Arnold. Took his class, The Art of Stand Up Comedy. And this was a class like none other because David, he ain't no teacher. You feel me? I'm going to say that in my David voice. He ain't no teacher. Okay. And he just really tell you, like, it ain't for the weak. This is what you need to do. You need to get in the gym and shoot some shots. You got to be up 3 nights a week. You got to record and video every set. You got to study where the laugh was. You got to study why it was funny. You got to let yourself know when you being corny. You got to not commit to some jokes and be present in the room and not do your closer. If they laughing at your middle joke, then stay with the middle joke. So it was a lot of stuff I learned in there, and meeting those people, having that group of comics that are trying to do the same thing you're doing, and having a support system, that definitely helped me take myself seriously, physically calm myself. Okay, you're a comedian. You know,
Mhm.
it took a minute for me to say that out loud. That's my job. I felt like I was embarrassing my kids.
That's funny,
It's
man.
true.
um, yes, RP David Arnold. That's one of my favorite comics. I was about to take the class that he was about to start back up, and then the untimely death. I met him too. He was a man, just a great dude. Let me tell you my story. I only had one interaction with him.
He's from Ohio too, just like you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he's from Cleveland.
Yep.
So, my girl knew that that was my favorite comic, so she took me to go see him in Philly. But like, it was supposed to be a surprise, but I found out, so I like DM'd him, and I was like, "Is there a chance, I can meet you afterwards or whatever?" And he told me, yeah, how to do it and whatnot. So got the t-shirt, got in line, and he like we had already been talking like before because he was like, he'd be running and stuff. So we was talking about that. And then like he just gave me this look, like he just like like, nigga, where you been? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just gave me this look, like, and so I went up to him, and I'm pretty sure he gave you a hug, man. He gave me like a hug that I've never felt like before in my life. Like, he scooped me up, and I'm not, I'm little, so he really like scooped me up and hugged me tight. And I was like, and I don't know why, but I didn't stutter. And I was like, man, I just told him like how like his first special, Fat Ballerina, just really like helped me get through like what I was currently going through at the time. Because I really wanted to like give up on comedy. And then he was like, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And then I was like, one day I'm gonna open up for you in Jesus' name. And he was like, he looked back and he looked at me, he's like, fucking incredible. And I was just like, then we took the picture, man. But he was just so like dope and calm and sweet and gentle, and it was just so crazy. And then like when I met him, I felt like I had like, you know how like you play a game and you like reach another level. I felt like I like reached another level like in the comedy game. Like, was he just like that much of an affectionate person with just joy and just like genuine shit?
Very genuine. And when you get to a point in your life where you just love life and you know who you are, and you can go around not fucking people day up, you just go around making people day. That was David. It was straight up, no chaser. I, if you're gonna be around me, you're gonna get these laughs and you're gonna get this energy. And I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. And that was him all day, every day. Never funny acting. I know I ain't supposed to use never and always and all of that. Every time I ran into him, never funny acting. It's like once he knew you forever. And he just was serious about it. It was his business, it was his life's work, and that's who he was. That is true to the core. I seen him out a lot. He knew my name. It didn't matter what we was doing. It's almost like when you see David and you tell him what you're going through, whether he been in your shoes or not, he have a similar situation and he ain't gonna sugarcoat it, but he just had a way of making you feel like whatever you were in, that you were normal, that you weren't weird, that you were normal, and figure it out. Like, all right, figure it out. How can you write about that? Because we
Yeah,
are writers. You don't understand when you become a comedian that you are a writer as well. For the comics that don't write, they got a natural gift, nothing to it. Everybody got a different process. However, in California and Hollywood and globally, just because you have this one gift, it don't mean that your gift gonna always be showcased in this one museum. You got a bunch of
mhm,
museums you can put your artwork in.
yeah, yeah. I always tell people to like try to dip your toes in more than one, pond or whatever. If we are writers, do like try to get like on a writing gig or something like that, or act or whatever, produce whatever the thing may be. Um, so what other things do you do besides? Do you like write for TV shows? Do you act? What other things are you in that you use your gift of humor?
So in in graduating film school, I was trying to get internships anywhere I could. And my emphasis is acting. So I've been trained and I'm taking all these classes in acting. However, in film school, you get exposed to editing, you get exposed to cinematography, camera work, production, directing. And I liked it all because I'm an artist. However, that final year of graduation, you got to get an internship. And you can't get no internship at acting unless you get a job with the theater. And that's just very difficult to do at the same time trying to complete these classes and do this homework. I found a company that loves my people, was pro women, and didn't even have interns at the time, and said, you know what? We like your energy. Why don't you make one and tell us what you come up with, and then we'll see. They gave me the we'll see. I put it together, presented it to them. Nobody called me back. I drove up to this studio. I said, I'm going to get them walking in the door because I don't know if they think I'm serious. It's going to be one of them stories where the intern, it was like a pursuit of happiness moment. You feel me? I'm sitting there wondering why they wasn't calling or whatever. The owner or the guy I met with, he texted me. He said, I have COVID. So my bad, I wasn't getting back with you. He said,
Mhm.
but you can start next week. I'll sign whatever I have to sign. I said, because I was sitting outside y'all studio and we laugh about it to this day. I started that internship back in March and they hired me this past July.
Okay.
That company, I'm about to tell you what that company is because this about to tell you how you can make it when you really want to do something out here. The production company is called Transit Pictures. Transit Pictures produces content for Kevonstagestudios app.
Mm.
So not only do I work for Transit Pictures, but now I work for Kevonstagestudios.
Yeah.
What better comedian job can it be than working at Kevonstagestudios with all these people that love comedy and love life, and they're doing skits, they're doing stand-up. It's like I don't have to be in the nightclub so much. I could just go to work and add my value.
Yeah.
Man, that junk took off. It took off.
Yeah.
Very good people, very dope company. I love my job.
And you get to, see the behind the scenes of like how to really own your own stuff, because it's really Black owned, and it's like a lot of Black people getting a lot of great opportunities out there with Kev on
It's true.
stage. There's a lot of like
Kev
I
or
listened to
Hill.
I listened to Daddy Issues, and I didn't notice at first because I don't really watch it on YouTube, but they film out there in YouTube in his studios, and I was like, dang, like he got a lot of stuff going on out there.
I've had the wonderful opportunity to meet everyone on Daddy Issues and actually engineer their podcast. Like I was sitting in the room in the podcast engineering room and like, how did you even end up here? Little Katrina from the D from 5 Mile, because the lower the number, the rougher the neighborhood. You went here with these folks engineering Daddy Issues. First of all, I'm a woman. Second, I'm a new comic. And I know none of them knew that I was even a comedian. So I didn't even want to have that energy. So you sitting here not trying to mute yourself, but trying to make sure everybody's comfortable and you don't mess up their energy. You feel me? And they welcome me with open arms. I mean, you could tell when people be on some BS and when they're not. And it's just a dope company. 2 dope companies that I work for. I couldn't have picked a better situation. I don't do hair at all no more. At all.
And how did that feel to walk away from that?
Man, I feel like I got out the drug game. Quit playing with me. What? Oh, I thought I would never be able to stop doing hair. It's just not an industry that you could retire from, because people are like, well, can you at least just do my hair? Like, they don't even let you get sick. One time I tried to get sick as a hairstylist. That sounds crazy, but that's how the job pimps you. You feel me? When you're a good hairstylist. And I called my homegirl, I said, man, I tried. I didn't know what I was going to do in the morning, but I ain't going to be able to make it in. You know, this have to say, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But tell me this, can you stand up? And I'm like, what difference do it make if I can stand up? I can't do your hair today. Girl, I'm sick. Shucks. And then so now I be tripping because people text me like, so you ain't made it back to the shop yet? No. Can you wish me well in my new career? No, I have not. And it's crazy because a couple times people throw that number out there. And if anybody know the cost of living in LA, you don't turn no money down. So they be like, I'll pull up to the crib. It ain't about you pulling up to my crib. Then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, this one last job ain't gonna mean nothing. So every now and then, I swear it's just like the drug games. Like every now and then I flip a little something at the crib, but
you gotta get that one last hit. Just one for the one time.
And it's only for my comedian friends because they get it. They like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, I know you an entertainer. Let me hook you up. But
man. So have you ever I don't think you kind of touched on it. Did you, like, when you got into that room, did you have like imposter syndrome? Because I know some people kind of deal with that a little bit. Or were you confident in, your position?
So remember, I said everything in my life prepared me to be a stand-up comic. So being a hairstylist, you deal with strangers. You gotta meet that stranger and then put your hands in their head and you close to them. You up in their personal space the entire time. So meeting new people and being in that space, or even dealing with celebrities, because I've done celebrities as a hairstylist. All of that stuff I've already been broken into. So I didn't have anything going on. I just was sitting there talking to God, like, really, Father, this how you gonna do me today? You set me up like this. I feel that energy. I feel like this where I'm supposed to be. I'm confident. I'm using all the gifts that you gave me. Like, come on, God. That's how I felt.
And you really just thought you was just going out there to support your husband and your kids, and now you in rooms that nobody else could be.
Bro, they don't even live here. We're not together. The kids and the ex-husband moved back to Michigan. I didn't see none of this stuff coming. I ain't telling people to move out to Cali, get a divorce, and detach from your kids, but I wouldn't have been able. If I went to a fortune teller, which I've never gone to one because I like the element of surprise when it comes to my life. If somebody told me this is where I would be today, I wouldn't have believed them. I met my husband at 19. We got married at 21. We was married for 18 years. I got 2 teenagers. Like, nobody would have told me I wouldn't be with them three right now, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah. How do you deal with being so far away from your kids, man? Like I always like so I used to be addicted to dating baby moms. And like one thing one thing I noticed is that they be scared. they
wow.
be so, they be so scared to like go for their dreams, and I'm just sitting there like, what? That don't make sense. But now here you are going for your dreams, and you're not a baby mom, but your kids are not with you. How does that make you like feel like? How do you deal with that?
I cry a lot. Truth is, I cry a lot. The other truth is, my kids are cheering me on. What better when you think about a mother and a father, because we all got one. Who are you watching the most? And they're watching me mute myself constantly. How am I to tell them to pursue their dream? And I'm sitting over here sitting on time and talents.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need me in the way that they've needed me in the past. Right now, they need to see a winner. They
Mm-hmm.
need to see somebody doing something different. And I didn't pick me as their mother. That was ordained by the creator, the master artist. So that's how I deal with it. That's why I'm not guilty. I'm still one heck of a mom. Like I be quarterbacking this thing from miles and miles away. Like I'll be emailing teachers when I'm in town. I'm doing drop offs and pickups. You know, to be honest with you, I got a whole set about the dream job was really for me to be a baby's daddy. Like I'm
Yeah.
out here. I'm supposed to keep the kids for the whole summer. I only keep them for 3 weeks. He be at me about that child support. I be like, I ain't got it. Like I couldn't have I couldn't have made this stuff up. You hear me?
Yeah. 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 No, that's good. No,
And
that's good.
I still think it's unnatural, and I hate to say that because I'm a feminist at heart. I got 5 brothers, so I'm always pro women. But it's unnatural for me not to be around my kids.
Mhm.
However, this needed to happen because they're gonna go to college, and I wasn't gonna be around them forever. Like it was some. It's unnatural to be codependent on each other like that. You have
Yeah.
to understand when you in a relationship, whether it's with your kids or with your husband, you still are an individual. And some
Mhm.
moms lose themselves in their kids. Some women lose themselves in their mate.
Mhm.
You can't lose yourself because you have talents and gifts that are a resource that we're supposed to be here in the universe connected to the web.
Yeah.
So why are you gonna take yourself out the game?
Mhm.
Just because you're in charge of a life. You know what I'm saying? You can still manage. You can
Yeah.
still manage, but what are you doing? When I tell you, I wasn't using nothing in this person. Like I was just and I think that was just a season. I don't regret it because I'm a giver. My grandmothers were homemakers. That's what I thought my dream job was, to be the best wife and homemaker I could become.
Mhm.
And I loved it. I love making them happy. I love making lunches, writing love notes. I still love that. I text them, making their day. My motherhood in this season just looks different. And you have
Mm.
to be okay with that. Nothing's going to change the fact that I'm their mother.
Mhm.
So I have to work a little harder at it. I gotta stalk them a little bit, text them. I gotta sometimes turn their phone off. Like you ain't gonna return my text, you ain't gonna return my phone. Like whatever you gotta do, it just looks different. You just continue showing that love to them, and that helps us all deal with the new situation because it is very
Mhm.
different. It is
Mhm.
it is different, and we've been doing this 2.5 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm so happy that you dove into that because I think women needed to hear that. I think some do feel that guilt. And there's nothing wrong with going for your dreams, man. I tell my future mother-in-law, like, I'm not sacrificing my dreams for my kids. Like, I'm not doing it.
As you
she's like,
shouldn't.
oh, she's like, oh, okay. We're gonna find a way to make it work. Like, we're gonna do that. So I just want to give you a round of applause because you're doing a good job, man. Definitely
Thank
doing a
you,
good
sir.
job.
Appreciate
Yes,
you.
of
Thank
course.
you.
I didn't know you had that whole, situation going on at home. So how do you reflect that on stage? Because that's a unusual situation, but yet, it's the truth.
Everybody out here got a purpose. Everybody out here got a story. The more I keep honest with myself, that's where that whole Trina with the truth came from. The the more real my jokes become because there's always something in life that you can laugh at. When I'm on stage, I have to be okay with who I am. I
Mm.
gotta sit in that thing. And everybody got a story. And I used to feel some type of way as if, will the world receive me or will they judge me? Because when we think mother, we think that sacrifice and that what I should be doing, and you already know that people are judging you and criticizing you. But in the world of stand up, a good comic makes the audience think. A good comic paints a picture that no matter what I say, you're gonna laugh and you're gonna receive it. I gotta paint a world to where the bull crap that I'm about to say, you're gonna laugh at it. Because it's gonna be some bull crap. Everybody don't have your point of view. But if I
Right.
paint that world right, it will make everybody involuntarily laugh. That's the magic of it. And that's the whole where the writing comes. Because I could say a bunch of stuff that
Yeah.
people ain't gonna agree with. But if I paint that world first, please. Now I can say whatever. Now I'm their
Yeah.
friend. Now I'm like, now they like, oh my God, now they having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So go deeper into paint that world for any comic that's like maybe struggling with like writing or whatever. What exactly does that mean or look like?
All right. Well, let's take the one thing that people are saying these days, fuck them kids.
Hmm.
How can somebody get out here and really say that and make the world be okay with it? If you paint a world to where a parent is losing their mind, if you paint a world to where that parent is trying their best, if you paint a world to where that kid seems ungrateful and you have to keep pumping the brakes, or it's like now they're cheering you on, and then at the end you stand up for yourself and you say, F them kids. So now you can say it, but you can't get on stage and be like, man, I don't like being a mom. It's some bull crap. I can't just say that. That sounds ungrateful. You know how many women out here trying to have kids and become moms? I sound very ungrateful. But if I talk about the journey in an honest, real way that people can relate to, they can't relate to everything. But some of the stuff you say on how certain people in relationships can mess your world up, and you say it's the same thing as a kid, or you say it's the same thing as having a pet or a puppy. Like, write that stuff down.
Yeah.
Your original thoughts, that's the only thing that you have. That's you. It's so hard to be original in a world of artists. Everything seems like it has been done. So if
Hmm.
you stay true to you, that one nugget, that one thing, that one perspective, that's yours.
Yeah.
So if you don't say it, then you cheating yourself.
Hmm. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you're saying like take one topic, right? And then when you take that one topic, um, validate that reason for that topic. But yeah, validate that reason for that topic, and then it'll make sense as to why you said the topic.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely. And even if it don't make sense, as long as it makes sense to you, you will know if you're funny or not.
Yeah.
Funny. There are so many funny people out here. But being a stand up is about crowd control.
Mm,
You get better at crowd control when you get better at writing.
mm,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hitting us with the writing tips there. That's why we got you on here, man. Some people need. Hey, that's what I'm working on right now. That's my main focus is getting better at writing. Like, yeah,
Oh,
that's my
yeah.
main focus right now. I mean, you can always, get better, but that's like my main like thing right now.
It's so funny. In film school, I did a lot of screenwriting too, because my dream job is to have my own television series, like Steve Harvey show, Jamie Foxx show, Bernie Mac show. That's the goal. I need my show because I got stories on stories on stories. We think that we're gonna spoil it by revealing the punchline. We're gonna spoil the story if we give them the climax at the beginning. My writing teacher gave me something. He said, "Open up with the attention getter." If I'm writing a story about getting a divorce, do I want to give everybody the story from my childhood and how I end up getting married, and then at the end I'm gonna say, and it ended with a divorce, and that's the climactic moment? Or can I do the opening scene on the argument to where we decided to part ways? That will engage people right there. And then now we're piecing the story together based off of memories.
Mm-hmm.
And what are these two people that have got a divorce? What are they doing now?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be afraid in stand up to give them the punchline in the beginning.
I think her
Did I
phone.
lose you? Okay,
No,
I'm
yeah, you
dare,
good, you
dare
good.
to do something different. Just because you give them the punchline, that could be your art. That could be the way you edit.
Yeah,
Out here in the world of storytelling, the editor is the one that's telling the story. And when you're doing stand up, you can edit it before you get on stage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was good advice. That was good advice. Um, so how do you like? Let me get you back over here. Do you like dedicate like certain time to writing? Like, how is your writing process go? Like, do you have like certain days that you write, or you just write when the thought comes? Like, how does that look for you?
Yeah. I can't even own this nugget I'm about to give you, but it changed the way that I write. My writing teacher told me writing does not happen when you sit down and write. Writing happens when you go out here and live. Take notes on how you're living, what you seeing, what you felt, voice record them, go into a different grocery store this day, join a different club or organization. Then, when you're sitting at home, you got all these notes. Now you can piece all of that together. But if you're just sitting here trying to come up with some, I don't know, alien type space invader, even that stuff is backed by real life.
Mm-hmm.
Writing happens as you live. And if you sitting in this house trying to sit at this computer and just write, you ain't seen enough. You got to get out here and live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my process. Every day, all day. I don't care if I'm in the grocery store. I'll talk to the two ladies behind me. What y'all thinking? Should we have gotten this line or should we have gotten the other line? What if all of us standing here this line, we got two things each. We all just right now just be like, what the fuck is going on in here? Where are all the workers? Like, what if we just,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
never know.
yeah. No, that's good because I thought that I was going crazy because sometimes I will put myself in situations because I was like, I know something's going to be funny here. Like one time the first time I got waxed, I was like, my girlfriend was like, you really going to do this? I was like, yeah, I know it's going to be funny. And
What did you wax?
my man's, I waxed my man's.
Oh, you waxed.
Yeah, I waxed.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
waxed.
bought it. You bought that life.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I only did it one time. But it was one time enough. Yeah.
Of course you only did it one time.
And and the dude was gay. So that made it 20 times better. Like I felt
What
like
an experience.
yes. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be hilarious. And it's one of the easiest jokes I can tell because I really don't have to tell anything. I'm literally just telling the story exactly. You emphasize some things or whatever. I added some sound or whatever when the clippers, turn the clippers on. But like I literally like it's one of the easiest jokes that I have to remember because it's like, no, this really happened. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, yeah. So like I put myself in situations because I know like certain things are gonna be funny. Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, Ty, that's an effortless story that is funny. If you record yourself doing it, if you look at people reactions, there's even more funny. There is tear dropping funny. There are t-shirts to be made off of sayings from that story. There is so much. There's a 20-minute set in that story.
Yeah. 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 I made a joke about basic stuff like COVID and Zoom or whatever, but I stretched it out and I put my dad in it and how it would be beneficial is he like passed away during COVID. But I took so many different layers from it, like my dad, Zoom, and then I added a death in the family towards the end to stretch it out to make the story like longer or whatever. This is all like true stuff, but that's another key that I found is like sometimes if you just piece stories together or whatever, or if you I don't want to necessarily like take your time, but if you look for different components, like different avenues to take the story, it can make it longer too.
Yeah, and the irony, everything that's ironic about it. Because we're not just adding stuff because we need more time. We're
Right.
adding stuff because we need more funny.
Right.
It's certain perspectives that people haven't seen that make it funny.
Yeah.
What else about getting waxed by a homosexual man? What else does that resemble? Have we seen animals do that behavior? Have we seen astronaut? Is it a metaphor in there? Like,
Mhm.
be as wild as you can be with that story.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it a movie? Is it a Game of Thrones moment in that story? Like, what else? You'd
Yeah.
be surprised how you can dissect that thing. And it's not just to make it longer, it's to stretch it as
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's to me when it's the funnest when you take a story like that. Yeah, yeah. I love
Oh
it.
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
What characters can you throw in there?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. So what I always ask comics this: what is like one stage that you desire to hit that when you know you hit this stage that you've made it?
uh, it's not the venue. I think it's the ticket price for me. When people say I want to hear her tell jokes so bad that they spend $100 a ticket. Shucks, even $50 a ticket. I think, if I sell out a 500-seat auditorium, when I'm doing stuff like that, that's when I say they want to see me. They want to hear my jokes. They want to be happy. They want this outlet. They mess with me. As we say, they
Mhm.
fuck with me, So
Yeah.
or that, or either the show. When you get the network to say, we will pay money for this content to be created, that's when I will know that I did it. That's
Hmm.
when I will know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm enjoying the journey though. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say, people hate to hear me say I'm in no rush because I can't make up the timeline. I am enjoying the journey because I couldn't have imagined this in my wildest dreams coming from where I come from.
Yeah.
People back home be like, they wasn't surprised when I said I was pursuing comedy, by the way. And I was like, why y'all ain't never said nothing to me, or real people. But newer people, they just be like, I ain't even heard her talk for 3 seconds, So it's just so funny how you can get far away from how you grew up. But at the same time, man, I couldn't have picked this in my wildest dreams. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. What is your worst bombing story on this journey so far?
All right. Truth is, I have never bombed.
Mm.
I'm so comfortable on stage. I can talk. David, we had this thing, this exercise that he would do. People could you would pick out a word, and now you just got to make that word funny. It didn't matter. You didn't know what you was getting ready to pick out. It's like picking out clues. There was just words written on a piece of paper. I've been playing that game my whole life. And so when he did it, I was like, oh, this is how we work out? So the closest thing I've done to bombing is when you're trying to be funnier. You will try different things. And I will never try this thing again because I didn't grow up like this. California candy that makes you loopy. I was like, I'd be real silly, ever since I tried these. I don't smoke, but I tried the candy. And so I was like, let me try this before I go up because it just make you sillier. Like sometimes you could be getting ready to go up on stage and you don't feel funny.
Hmm.
What you gonna do? So I ate a half of a piece of candy and I got up there and the worst thing that happened. You forget. You just find yourself rambling like, what was I saying again? And don't nobody want to see you up there being on some BS. They done found babysitters. They done took the time out to come to this show. We was down at the J spot, J Anthony Brown spot.
Hmm.
And it's closed now, but it was a dope club. But I still was funny, but it just looked bad. Like it looked like you never want to be the comic where it looked like anybody can do what you're doing.
Mm.
How people be like, man, I could do that. People tell me I'm funny all the time. I can get up there and talk about whatever. So I was funny, but that's how it looked.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just at the end of my set, I was like, man, thank y'all. I'm training with the truth. I called the host. I was like, man, come get this mic. And I just you just gonna throw your dreams away like this? Like, what you doing? So I
Oh,
didn't get booed. They were clapping.
yeah.
I've been funnier and I've been more structured. And so that was my biggest disappointment. But I learned, there are no such thing as failures. It's only discoveries. Discover how to do something a different way.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you learn that as you go, longer on your journey. So that word of
Yeah.
advice: don't ever give up.
Yeah.
So then, how does it when you go up there and you tell your truth just as yourself, but more so, as a woman, do you feel more so of a responsibility to speak up on the behalf of women? I'm first of all, I'm a fan of women comics because I always tell people that my first comic, and I don't even like say woman comic, my first comic that I was exposed to was my mom because
Okay.
that's how funny
Shout
she
out to your
was.
mama. I love
Yeah.
her.
And when I asked her like what she wanted to do in her life, like I never really thought about it. I was like, Mom, what did you ever wanted to be growing up? And she said she wanted to be a comic. And now I credit my hustle and my grind to the scene out here that I do, because I watched this documentary on Hulu. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a documentary about women comics. And there's one comic out in New York. She was like, if you're not, she said, comics coming to me all the time. And she was like, they asked me like, how do you like make it or whatever? And she says, how many times do you go out a week? And she said, if they don't say every night, then I know they don't want to do it, you know. So I was like, shoot, I gotta step my game up. Like these women out here is killing it, and rightfully so. But I don't think you guys get the shine that you deserve. So like, do you feel like a responsibility on behalf of women to speak for women?
Every time I go out, I represent myself first, I represent my family, and then I represent women. That's where I go. And then I represent my culture. That's my order. So I already know anytime I get a microphone, the weight is on the shoulders of everybody that looks like me, whether that be woman or Black, African, Moorish, whatever. So with that responsibility, I want to make sure I'm funny and that the people are, it's a good investment of their time. When it comes to a bunch of industries, you got men in culinary, you got men in comedy. They take over. I'm not going to say they take over. A lot of industries are male dominated. It just is what it is. That's a fact. And as a woman, you got to work that much harder because you're not taken seriously. So I'm going to say this about my job. At my job, I don't care if I'm moving tables and chairs. They treat me as equal. If they open the door for me, then they open the door for the guy behind me too. They never be like, oh, she a girl. Y'all get that. She not supposed to be doing that. Mm-mm. And sometimes I'll be wanting to be like, dog, I'm a female. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I want the same pay. I want the this. I want the that. So when it comes to comedy, I had a male comic tell me this. It's different for the world to see female comics. It's not a lot of y'all out here. He said, and what you have to understand is we already are interested. Don't force being interesting. And also, the world may or may not be ready for another woman to talk about sex the way that some female comics have. I'm not telling you to stay a clean comic. I'm not telling you not to talk about sex. But if you can find something funnier other than sex, do it. That's what he said. He said, as men that laugh, as men comics, we talk about this all the time. When y'all not around, we want to hear them do something other than sex. And I listened to him and I worked hard on that. I ain't have to work hard on it because it's a bunch of stuff to talk about. But that's just how I see it. We can throw ourselves out there as being trashy, as being objectified by men, or we can talk about politics, being at work, weight, hair. It's so much, clothes, fashion, anything, animals. It's a lot of topics. Put the sex stuff in there too, but don't let that be the only thing.
Yeah. And I'm glad you spoke to that, because some say that when you're like an open micer, or you take that low hanging fruit, and sex, would be one of them. That's usually, the jokes that you start off with is a whole bunch of sex jokes, whatever. But as you go along and you grow and you get better and you got time, even, whatever that time may be, how do you decipher between the two of like, okay, even though this is a sex joke, this is a good one, or this is a low hanging fruit one?
You asked me about bombing earlier. And the truth is, people that bomb are talking to be self-indulgent. You saying something because you think everybody just want to hear what I have to say. You didn't even think about whether or not it's funny. A good comic will consider the audience and think whether or not they think it's funny. The same comic that told me about picking sex jokes, his name is Blame the Comic. He said, when you get out there, what's funny right here? What is everybody thinking that they are not saying in this moment? Get up there and call them out. That's always a good opener. You got your opener, but what's funny right here, right now, in this moment? Be paying attention from the minute you show up to your set. That's what he said. And I take that and do that. And then because your jokes that your stories that are funny, those are your closers. You may not get to all of them, But what can you do right here, right now to give these people a show to where it looked like you wasn't sitting there writing?
Right.
You're not giving a lecture. You sitting up here just talking to your homies. And you want them to be comfortable. They don't know where you're going to go. They don't know who you about to call out. They don't know what you about to say. And the element of surprise is always funnier than the stuff that you have written. Mm-hmm. And you'll be better warmed up to know how to set them up if you start with that first. You can always go to that written stuff, but trust the fact that you are funny just in conversation. They don't know you. They don't know what you're going to say. And you can't be afraid to talk about how you look. They are looking at you. Call it out. What are you wearing today? One time I got on stage and I had on these pants and it was like a bunch of laces in the front of them. I was like, I'm feeling real strapped up, like think about this at that time, That's what they see. You are a great target for a joke. The fact that you're talking about yourself, now they'll let you talk about them. You want to gain the audience in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's usually what I do when I go up stage. When I go up on the stage, I'll look around first and be like, I'm talking about this person, this person, this person. The worst part is when they leave, though. That's the worst part.
It be like that.
Yeah, it do. It do.
Like that.
What's up, man? You're giving some good nuggets, man. You really getting some good nuggets. Like, so when did you? So, like, what kind of? I say this every episode. You got to forgive me. I'm high right now. I'm high. But no. All right. So, oh yes, that's the next question I wanted to ask you. In what way? I've never asked, but in what way can us men protect you women in the game of comedy? Because I've heard some horror stories. So, in what way can we protect y'all or be allies for y'all?
Man. It's a lot of ways. At some point, though, the women have to take responsibility. I don't know how else to better say that. I'm out here. I'm in these comedy streets, and I have a lot of male friends. And people get lonely. People get thirsty. People see opportunity. Y'all got to just be honest. You got to be honest with these women. The more hard-hitting honesty you have, the more inward we will look, the more that you guys take us seriously, the better. I have men comics that I posted a show. I finally got up at the Laugh Factory, San Diego, and a homie of mine, I gave him a ride home after a show. And I don't be giving men rides. But it's a hard life out here as a comic. And we was the last two on the set. And I think it humbled him to have to ask me for that ride. Because we had been talking all night, capping on each other, whatever. We had just met. But I also know it's a struggle out here in LA for some. So this same comic who I befriended that night, he messaged me. He said, man, congrats. That night when I met you, you was mad at the promoter because he didn't even put you up or because he rubbed you on your back and he touched you. I seen you stand up for yourself. He said, but I'm going to tell you this, Tree. If you get up here and you don't be funny, I'm going to clown your ass. Like, he gave me that tough love. He said, don't be the female comic that's up there like, all my ladies with their real hair, put your hands together. He said, that's not funny. You got to be willing to tell a female comic when she's not funny. And don't try to holler at her. If you you going to see her again, try to holler at her on another day. But you got to let these women know, look, sis, when you had all your thigh meat out, we couldn't hear nothing you was saying. We was looking at your crotch the whole time. Yeah. Y'all could give women that kind of hard honesty. That would be dope. I've had some females that have told me the truth, and I have had some males that have told me the truth. And when I tell you I appreciate it, I don't have them horror stories. I'm thankful. It could be me, but I don't. Yeah. People ask me about it being a new comic. I've been doing comedy only 5 years. And when I tell you a lot of people journey, it can go like tick, 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 or it can tick, tick, it can tick, tick. I've been going just like this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't take that for granted. I'm so grateful to even be able to switch careers, to have a dream, and for people to support it in the way they have. But I'm telling you, I go out here and I be cute. It's not that I don't wear shape, form revealing clothes. It's not that I'm not in heels. I wear makeup, my hair look like I already know I want to be a vibe. I come from the beauty industry. But when I tell you, in the first couple words of that conversation, as a woman, as a female comedian, as just a comedian, you gotta let them know to respect you. You gotta let them know. And it ain't about being tough and sitting up there just roasting with them. Just be human.
Yeah.
Just be human.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I think that's the easiest way to do crowd work in stories. Everybody be like, that's like my two good ones are I'm known for, whatever. And I'm like, bro, it's literally the easiest thing. You literally just gotta be a person that know how to talk to people and just be nice. Like that's literally all you gotta do.
Yeah. And
That's the
even if you
foundation
don't
of
know
it.
how to talk to people, say what you would say.
Hmm.
Don't sit up there and try to be fake. Say what you would say. The only way you don't have regrets is if you say what you would say. If you
Hmm.
think about it too hard and say what somebody else said, then you're gonna be like, why did I do that? But it's
Yeah,
been so many times I say, why did I do that? But I'd be like, shit, bitch, if you could do it again, you probably would have said the same thing. Like that was you. That was all you
right.
right there.
Right. So when you go on stage, I never even thought about this. So sometimes when I go on stage, I will wear certain things to probably set up a joke or just to make sure I present myself in a certain way. As a woman, since men are so hard on women, do you worry about that when you go on stage, or do you toe the line? Like, how is your you want to be a vibe? How is your style when you go up there? Or you just be like, I don't care at all. Like, just take me as I am.
Be intentional. Be
Yeah.
intentional what time you get there. Be intentional on what you're wearing. Be intentional. Shout out to my kid's father, my ex-husband. He told me this. Dress how you want to be received.
Hmm.
Because you know, when you married to somebody or you in a relationship, baby, does this look good? How you feel? What would you think? Is this too much? Is it given? Is it? He always say, babe, you gonna look good in everything. Dress how you want to be received today. If I'm going to the grocery store, I'm dressing how I want to be received. If I'm picking up my kids from school, I'm dressing how I want to be received. When I'm on stage, I look up the venue and I'm still going to dress how I want to be received. But I already know how they're going to receive me and I turn it into a joke. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always going to be me. And I know what I feel comfortable in on stage. First of all, you're going to respect me because I look like a little kid. And that always gets them. I'm not a little kid. Sis got a little bit of mileage on her. But the point is, I'm not somebody, I'm a force. I like to just walk on like who just walked in the room. I'm commanding attention, not in a sexual way, but just in a visually pleasing way to where I can crack a couple jokes. I know what y'all judging me on based on what you see. Look in the mirror, take a picture of yourself. If I saw this picture, what would I think about this person? You gotta do that. Like we put work into these sets. It look
Yeah,
effortless, but we do.
yeah. Do you get hit on by male audiences after the show?
I get heckled, I get hit on, I get respected, I get disrespected. Listen, I grew up with five brothers. I've worked in barbershops. I'm in film school. I work at a production company. I'm around men all the time.
Mm,
You gotta know how to deal with men and women. The women could sit up here and be like, "Oh, she cute. I bet you she having sex with so and so." And the men could do the same thing. Like, man, she ain't funny. She just out here just tiptoeing around. They probably put her up because XYZ. You already know how they looking at you.
mm-hmm.
So and then I go down in the inner city and do comedy with my people. They yelling out all kind of stuff. And in my brain, I'm like, yes, they have no idea who they talking to. I'm
Yeah.
about to get this fool. But you got to practice that. You cannot be scared. There's improv, Monday Rays, D. Ray Davis. Outside of the improv, after the show, they all standing outside roasting. And the king of roasters be out there. You got your Corey Holcombs, your Boo Capone, David Lucas. I stand right there in that circle. And
Mm-hmm.
I start going in because I know they don't want to roast women. They think women gonna get mad. Soon as he talk about me giving head, it's on.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing you could do in a roast is get upset. We are just out here trying to tell jokes. So that's the same thing on stage. So all of these life experiences give you practice for
Yeah.
hecklers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a microphone. You got to remember that. They ain't gonna win. You got the mic.
Mm,
So you just got to be fearless, and you got to exercise every way that you know how to be funny.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good
And
advice.
it's so funny. My pandemic namer was the late great AJ Johnson from Friday, Ezel.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't
Mm-hmm.
believe that he ended up living beneath me in this apartment. And he'd been living here the whole time, but it wasn't until the husband and the kids moved that I even noticed him. Right?
Right.
We became friends. We started hanging out. He heckled me the entire situationship. When I tell you, he was like, he was doing something. And I was like, man, that's what short dudes do. Actually, let me just tell you what I said. I said, that's what little niggas do. And he looked at me like, I was like, well, this is how I talk. And he was like, well, at least my voice ain't ashy. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And that just started it. He was like, you need to pour some fucking lotion down your throat, you know, or whatever. So everybody I meet, their relationship with him taught me that I do talk and joke. I've always done it. And I'm always looking for how I can be funny and how I can make people laugh. So everybody you meet is going to learn that that's just who you are. You ain't never got to apologize no more. That's been the best thing about being a comedian. My friends used to apologize. So I'm like, why you got to be an asshole? Now they just be like, she's a comedian.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like you've been around some powerful people. How important is the networking? This is very important. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Ooh, networking is important. It's important not to go up to people just asking for stuff. That's not how you network. You go up to these people and present yourself as a giver. I approached Nichelle Murdoch, who is the promoter at the Comedy Store. I'm not going to call her a promoter. She has a show. She's got her own night at the legendary Comedy Store. It's called Crack 'em Up Thursday. I said, Nichelle, I like your show. I'm even more so proud that you look like me and it's your show, and it's been your show for years. I don't know you, but everybody keep telling me I need to know you. Is there anything I can do to help you with your show? I've been in film school. I got a camera. I come up here. I could do some social media stuff. She'll never forget that. She put me on. Now I'm sending her my available dates. I wanted her to see past my pretty. I wanted her to see past what I wanted from the Comedy Store. I wanted to approach her in a human way and let her know, look, I'm not like everybody else. You got to do stuff to set yourself apart. Everybody come up to these people and these celebrities with their hand out. You got to understand, if you do it, because people always be like, shoot your shot. You got to be brave. Ask them to take a picture. Ask them, can you be on their podcast? Ask them. You know how many people was coming up to them asking them?
Right.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Present yourself different. Man, that was dope what you did. I heard your joke about XYZ. How did you write that? Pay him a compliment. And you don't have don't ask them for nothing initially. They don't know you to give you a chance. They don't know you.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's real. That's real. As we wrap this up here, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a comic probably starting out, in the middle of the road, at a plateau, or just in general? What piece of advice would you give to a comic?
People that you call your friends, have an honest talk with them. How do you see me? You think I'm funny? Do you think I should keep going? I ain't saying follow what they say, but these are the people that see you that have no hidden agenda. Now, you're going to take that information. Let's just say the worst thing happened. They said, bro, I don't know how I was going to tell you this, but you ain't really funny. I mean, that's the worst. That is the worst that can happen. Truth is, the worst thing that can happen is they say, I don't know how I could tell you this, but you just really not funny, man. You goofy, but stand-up ain't it for you. A real artist takes critique. Do not wear your feelings on your sleeve. Take the information and understand why they said it to you. It don't mean you can't be a stand-up. It means you would need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to be funnier. Or it means you could be in a writer's room. Or it means you could write sketches. Or it means you can write dramedies. Who knows how you're going to apply that gift? But if nobody is ever critiquing your paintings, you don't know if it's good or not. Because damn show as a new comic, ain't nobody buying it. And initially in the beginning, we paying to get up. People don't know that. Initially, we pay for time. We're paying like $1 a minute. And it's different tiers. You was talking about tiers earlier. It's like the tier initially is just let me get up and I got to pay. Then it's okay, I'll get up and I'll do shows for free. Then it's okay, I'll get up so long as they give me gas money. Then it's okay, it's different tiers and different levels. Respect the journey of every level and keep learning.
Yeah.
Katrina, tell people why they should listen to Comedians in Bed.
You should listen to Comedians in Bed. For one, Ty Erskine is very dope, okay? Just this art of him putting this together is better than a lot of us would even do when it comes to pursuing our passion. So you're going to get that passionate energy from this. Also, he telling the truth. He out here keeping it 100 and he making us comics keep it 100. So you should listen to Comedians in Bed so that you can learn and understand the real deal when it comes to comedians and what it takes out here.
I appreciate that, Katrina. I really do. Tell people where they can find you at, man.
You can find me on all platforms at Trina with the Truth. That is me. Ever since I uncovered the truth, I understood that it was very funny, and that's how I live my life.
Amen. Amen. I don't know why I said amen.
Because we had church. That's why. We had service on today. Put the cash app up.
Katrina, glad you could stop by for me and Comedians in Bed. And I appreciate you so much because I know sometimes the title like be making women be like, what is this? You know, so I appreciate you.
I thought I was supposed to wear a bonnet. I was like, oh shoot, Comedians in Bed. I ain't think nothing sexual. I just was like, I'm supposed to have bad breath and I'm supposed to have on a bonnet. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you even reaching out. Thanks for seeing my gift.
I appreciate you saying yes. I appreciate you saying yes. And I know a lot more people are going to say yes. I can't wait to see you on Netflix or HBO Max, wherever you end up, man. I appreciate you so much. Everybody, this has been another great episode of Comedians in Bed. We thank Katrina. We'll see you guys next week.